It was actually way cooler than I expected it to be.
Wow, this is very intuitive.
That was cool. Oh, I did it!
Unbelievable.
That was really fun, and that was a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Welcome to Upward with Transfr, where we tackle the challenges of our evolving workforce and how educators, governments, and industries are changing to keep up. We're dedicated to building effective pathways for workers and job seekers to get the skills they need to enter well-paying careers in high-growth industries. Our part in that is designing and distributing hands-on simulations that learners can use to explore new career options and develop core skills before entering an in-person vocational training program. Transfr simulations augment human educators, broadening their range of classroom possibilities without costly facilities build-outs or expensive equipment. I'm Jack Sislak, Editorial Director at Transfr, and your host for this episode. Today I'm joined by Transfr CEO Bharani Rajakumar for a fun, casual chat about non-traditional career pathways. Let's jump in. So here at Transfr, we're all about helping people from all backgrounds discover their own pathways from wherever they are into a well-paying job in a high-growth industry. And we know that the right candidates for these jobs will come from a variety of diverse and interesting backgrounds. Not all of them are going to follow this very traditional high school to college to career pathway. And so for the start of our series of episodes about non-traditional career pathways, we're sitting down with Transfr's own Bharani Rajakumar. Bharani, please introduce yourself, tell our audience a bit about who you are and what you do here at Transfr. Take it away.
Hey, thanks, Jack. My name is Bharani Rajakumar. I'm the CEO and founder of Transfr Inc., and I have the distinguished pleasure of getting to work with 180 amazing people at the company right now to build out our vision of building a classroom to career pathway and in helping everybody get on a pathway to upward career mobility.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that. It's really cool to have you back on the pod here. And we just have a bunch of questions that we're just going to run through together, just chat them out. So let's get right into it. First off, how do you define a non-traditional career pathway?
One of the things I think about is what the traditional pathway is, right? And so a lot of people have this focus on having to get into the right school, like as early as elementary school. Like you've got to get into the right elementary school to get into the right middle school, to get into the right high school. And then you got to get the right test score if you want to get into the right college and get the right job. And it can be like really stressful. But I think a non-traditional pathway would be something that enables someone to get onto a career pathway or get a job using a different methodology or acquiring maybe a different set of skills using non-traditional methods. So one example that I can think of right here at Transfr, we have a fantastic producer here by the name of Jonathan Kaiser, who actually started off learning graphic design and then didn't end up finishing school, and ended up getting a job in the gaming industry and kind of working his way up. And when we were recruiting him, we were just like, wow, this person has like amazing experience. Like, look at all this stuff that they've done. And so he's now here and leading up, producing our virtual healthcare clinic, which is one of the company's most important product lines.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. It's more about what you can do and what you have done, regardless of where you started or if you went to the right school or you had the right credential or whatever. It's, can you do this job? Do you contribute to this team in a meaningful way? Yes. The answer is yes. And then we're taking a broader look at where those people can come from.
Yeah. And specifically at Transfr anyway, we always ask everybody what their zone of genius is. And we ask them,
Yes.
What do you really love about your job? What do you want to contribute to it? And we try to find that right fit. And so I think the bottom line is like, everyone has something to offer in this world.
Yeah.
It's just like, where can you add the most value and be the most helpful? And like, let's find the right place for you.
So, Bharani, before we started recording, you and I were talking a bit about your childhood and your background, and sort of, I want to get on tape here for our audience. How did you become a founder? How did you found a tech company? How did you become founder of Transfr?
Yeah, it's a great question because I did not grow up ever thinking about being CEO, founder of anything. One of the things that happened to me when I was younger is, I've got these amazing parents. I was born in India and they immigrated here when I was young. They were raising a family on $35,000 a year. And so I had to get a job early on in life to help them out. So my first job was actually at Wendy's, earning $5.25 an hour.
Right on. Paperboy right here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere, right? And look at you now. Now you're running podcasts. And so what that taught me is just like the value of kind of being independent and being able to contribute. In that case, I was trying to contribute to my family by being less of a burden, to put it simply. And then later on, I ended up studying finance and working in finance. And I thought, you know what, I bet you there's a lot of people out there that were like me who just, if they had an opportunity to kind of demonstrate their skills, they'd be able to contribute to their employer, their community, their family. Yeah. And that became kind of like the genesis of Transfr. Like, how do we build a system that helps everyone to get on a career path to upward mobility? And I tried other methodologies of giving back, like literally donating to causes and things like that. And I just thought this might be a more scalable way to solve the problem. And in the early days, you know, people were very skeptical of virtual reality, very skeptical that this very hard problem could be solved. And so I kind of became de facto CEO and founder because nobody else wanted to leave their job to do it.
Hey, look, you're walking the walk. You talked it up, and now you're doing it. And this is a great mission for a company to have. Do we want to talk now a little bit more about sort of why are these pathways becoming more important as the world keeps changing, this evolving economy we're dealing with?
Yeah, I think that's a great topic. You know, one of the things that's super important here, and just as we talked about, you know, people who've gotten jobs even at Transfr using non-traditional pathways. Yeah. What's powerful about that is that could be like a really great equalizer. To the extent that people can learn and earn on the job, that becomes a potentially really powerful force for leveling the playing field for everyone who can find a place that's the right fit for them.
Totally. And even when you come out of college, the first couple of jobs, they're going to teach you how to do the job anyway. You know, almost nobody comes out of college with some kind of degree and then just walks onto a job and is like, all right, here you go do that. There's always some degree of on-the-job training. So sort of this changing view of people with non-traditional backgrounds of like, hey, you have some sort of skills and abilities and really the ability to apply yourself, and then we'll teach you the rest. We just are interested in who you are more as a person than as a piece of paper.
Yeah, we'll teach you the rest. And also, how would you like to contribute? Like, now that you know about what goes on here, like, what do you think you can do? What interests you? What excites you? What motivates you in the morning? And I think that's very exciting for someone who, you know, may not want to listen to a lecture for hours on end.
Yeah. So let's talk briefly about the trends we're seeing in the business world around embracing candidates with non-traditional backgrounds. Stuff you're reading, stuff you're seeing, conversations you're having. What's your experience been in the larger world of this topic and this trend?
You know, I think that companies have come to the conclusion that great talent can come from a lot of different places. It doesn't have to come from a specific pedigree or a specific program or a specific geography anymore. Yeah. And what you do have to do, though, is you got to demonstrate that you have a track record of being curious and focused and being a contributor, and that you're interested enough in something that you would go through the trouble of acquiring skills and creating something. And so when employers can see that, that's like a very attractive thing to surround themselves with, right? Because employers are kind of in the business of creating something. And so they always want to be surrounded by other co-creators. Right.
Co-creators, doers, like you were just saying, people who have proven they can go out there and learn about stuff and bring that home and then keep replicating those skills. And I also love what you've been saying too about almost creating fit for yourself, which I know is something we do here at Transfr every day. We're encouraged to interrogate how we're contributing and what we want to be doing. And it's cool to hear that other companies are catching up to that.
Yeah, and I also think that there are formal programs as well. So a really well-known program, IBM has launched this program called P-Tech, in which they work directly with high schools to start the training process right in the schools themselves, which I and a lot of people think is just a phenomenal idea, right?
Totally.
The more exposure that folks have and the more time they have to prepare, like the higher probability they will have finding something that's a really good fit for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we hear working with our clients in different states that different states legislate, oh, you have to do career exploration by this grade or that grade. Even doing career exploration is not the same as working with, especially a company like IBM, but working with any company that gives you an idea of what it's like to go to work every day in that company or a certain type of job at that company, et cetera, like a program like this sounds like it would do.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, these programs aren't just for really big multinational corporations. Trio Electric, which is one of our partners based in Texas, they hire electricians, but they also have created an apprenticeship program. And so they use that apprenticeship program first of all, they have a pre-apprenticeship component of it, which we've provided training simulations for. But folks that go through that program either have an opportunity to work with Trio if there are jobs available. And if not, then they help place them at another electrical construction company. Yeah,
it's so awesome that you mentioned Trio. The apprenticeship program is sort of a non-traditional background idea just overall, every place it is, because for most of them, it's you can walk in off the street, get into an apprenticeship program. They'll teach you what you need to know as you learn to do this job and then get on-the-job training, et cetera, stuff like that. It's not like, hey, go to college for 4 years and then come back and get an apprenticeship. It's a different model altogether.
Yeah, and obviously the irony there is that the apprenticeship model is kind of like the tried and true trusted methodology for the manufacturing and the skilled trades. And now it's considered innovative to be doing that again. But, look, it's obviously done a great deal of good for a lot of people. And so it should be adopted in other areas where it makes sense.
Totally. Everything old is new again.
There you go.
And actually, you've kind of already answered one of my other questions, which was going to be how do Transfer's clients and partners fit into this trend. So we had Trio Electric. If there's anybody else you want to throw out here real quick, we can talk about them or we can move on to the next question.
Well, what's interesting is that there are some macroeconomic forces right now that are helping force this train. Number one is that you have the baby boomer generation is retiring to the tune of about 11,000 people per day.
Wow.
And so companies are really feeling the crunch of finding people to work with for the jobs that they have available.
Yeah.
Number two, there are a lot of folks out there that are kind of questioning whether or not the traditional higher ed model is for them.
Sure.
And so companies are then saying, hey, we have to get into this game. We've got to come to the table and help advise, develop, co-create curriculums so that we can get people on a pathway, because the last thing we want is for people to graduate high school and just be lost. And so that's a premise of our entire business models. We've been working with workforce development agencies around the country who have already been working with companies for decades and just trying to create this seamless classroom to career pathway so that everyone can kind of find the right home for themselves.
Awesome. So, okay, let's finish up here on a really hopeful note. What's our vision as a company, Transfer's vision of the future look like with more people from non-traditional backgrounds getting into more open roles across the country and, the world?
That's a great question. So one of the great things about working here is that everyone here is so pumped up and super passionate about what they do.
It's true.
And so I actually love hearing about the stories on our weekly campfire. But our core focus is on a group of folks that we refer to as undiscovered talent. So they can be young adults, they can be older adults.
Yes.
But they're folks that have a lot to offer. They just may not have the network, or companies may not know who they are yet. So, for example, we work with re-entry programs that help people that were previously incarcerated get on a pathway to a job. We work with Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 50 companies, Fortune 1000 companies to help folks find opportunities there. And the way we do it is we work with workforce development agencies, employers, and education. So that's high schools and 2-year colleges, in which we deploy what we call career exploration, where someone can put on a headset and in VR try out what a variety of occupations might be like, and then kind of enroll in a program that they feel makes the most sense for them, and that ultimately leads to job placement. And so we call that the classroom to career pathway, and we want to offer that to the millions of people around the world that could benefit from that. And just, Kaiser or myself or you, Jack, anyone just get their first job and get on a pathway to upward mobility.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's a really hopeful note to end on. And anyone out there listening, wherever you are, whatever pathway you're on, keep at it. There are people out there looking for someone just like you. Thanks so much for listening. I've been and continue to be Jack Sislak. Join us next time on Upward with Transfer. Bye, everybody.